Yo, hello
I'm wa-
everyone. How are we doing?
I'm
Charlie,
watching. I'm
Jeffrey?
watching on YouTube, and it's not up yet.
Yeah? Why are you watching on YouTube?
It's not on YouTube
Charlie, what are you doing? You're on a live right now. Why are you watching yourself?
to see if we're on.
Yeah, we're on. It's live.
It's
All
definitely
right.
live.
There's a delay, my man. What are you
Okay.
doing?
Sorry.
Oh my God. I'm ashamed right now. I'm embarrassed. Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to Phenome's first live, and Charlie really kicked it off strong. This is good. You act like you haven't been on a million lives before, Charlie.
I don't know.
No, he's a little embarrassed now. It's okay. Jeffrey, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good. How you doing, Patrick?
Fantastic. How's everybody in the chat? Hopefully doing fantastic. Super excited about news that we get to drop tonight and start working on some stuff. So happy days ahead, I hope. Everybody. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
Sweet. So I guess Jeffrey, do you want to start off and just kind of tell us why we're here?
Yeah. Obviously, most of you have heard what we've been working towards at Phenome, but today is the day that we drop the green tree python sex test. So it's available on our website right now. It's a single shed test. So you just need a shed from the animal that you want to know the gender of, and we can get it done pretty quickly. So super excited about it. For me, it's an amazing thing, especially being a green tree python breeder. So yeah, just
We did
pumped.
this for you, Jeffrey.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, we're just pumped to have it available and talk to you guys about it tonight.
Yeah, no, I agree. It super exciting, a long time in the making, to say the least. We've spent a ton of time working on this and trying to perfect it, and then well, validation was a bear as well. So we'll get to that in just a second. But yeah, I'm super excited. Obviously, I'm a ball python guy for the most part. But Jeffrey, being the green tree guy, convinced us all this was an important one to do. And then Charlie, you've kind of started diving into green
I
trees a
have
little
two
bit.
green tree pythons right now. One little neonate from Bill Stiegel, which I can now say is a female. Had her first shed with me last week, and I think within 4 hours, I knew it was a female. So yeah, that was awesome. And I have one more that I got last week that I believe it was probed female. So once she sheds, I will be testing that again.
Dude, that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. Have you told Bill yet?
No, no. Yeah, I'll let him know though.
Oh, that's fantastic. All right, so let's just talk a little bit about the developing of the test and like the process and everything that kind of went into doing this. So obviously, Jeffrey, you played a massive role in just getting us sheds. So
Yeah, I think overall it's like networking within the community, making sure everyone kind of comes together towards this one goal, which is essentially we needed as many sheds as possible to do a validation on the tests that we wanted to do. And with that, I just want to do like a big shout out and thank you to all the breeders. We had a lot of buy-in super quickly. Whether it was big breeders or small breeders or even folks that had one or two animals, a ton of people contributed towards this. So it was just amazing to see that happen. And that was kind of the starting point. We needed the sheds. And then after that, we were kind of developing the test from there. And I'm sure you guys can go into that more.
oh yeah, no, yeah, it's awesome. I do think like I don't know if people appreciate like the effort it took to get the sheds though. Like it was a lot, you know. It's a community that's asked for something like this for a while and hasn't really had anything delivered to them. And so I imagine early on, Jeffrey, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, it seemed like there was a little skepticism and a little hesitancy until like we really came out and said, like, guys, we have something. Like, please, if y'all want to see this come to fruition, we need your help.
Yeah, for sure. I think we had to have some initial buy-in, and then also
Yeah.
we needed to make it as easy as possible for people to get sheds to us. And obviously the folks that have submitted them know what was done, just to make it super easy and kind of a back and forth communication on where we're at with things was great. Everyone I talked to, though, and reached out to, were, even if we had questions about various things, they were super helpful on information as well.
Yeah, I'm
That's
pretty
fantastic.
impressed at how quickly people came through. It wasn't too long ago that we were on, I believe it was MJ's podcast, talking about it and saying, we needed sheds. And within a couple of weeks, they started coming in, and, we would validate them. And I'd be like, guys, I'm done. And as I say that, another package came in. Like, so
Yeah.
it was awesome to see, like, people actually, like, focusing and getting us the sheds we needed, like, in a timely manner. And I must say, working with green tree python sheds beats the heck out of working with terrestrial snake sheds. Most of
Terrestrial.
them
What a
are
nice way to say
super
ball
clean.
python.
Yeah, most of them are just like so clean and like perfect. There was a couple that
Yeah.
were like a little iffy, but for the most part, majority of them were like in amazing condition. And it was great to actually deal with that.
No, that's awesome. And that kind of is a nice little segue into the validation process. And we can talk about, the whole, the thought process that we put into that and kind of why we did it that way. And then like the results. So, Charlie definitely spearheaded the validation and really like crushed it once we got a target to him. So Charlie, like, can you walk us through that process?
Yeah. I mean, as we talked about before, and with any sex test, it's great to have proven breeders. Those are the things that are males and females. Popping, even in ball pythons, isn't always perfect.
Right.
Probing isn't always perfect. But I think it was Bill who said, I don't know if this is a girl until she's on eggs. I don't care what anybody says. To me, it's not a female until it's on eggs. And so that's what we, really pushed for. We pushed for those proven breeder sheds, because just validating ball python morphs alone is brutal. You're hoping that what people give you is what it actually is, and anything wrong or any possible thing really screws me up. You could throw out a whole test early on if you have a couple misid'd snakes and you're like, yeah, this is no good. But meanwhile, it was just the breeder misid'd it. So that's why we really wanted to do the proven breeder stuff first, and that's what we did. We started with the proven breeders, and then from there we had some that were probed, and then we had some that were like males based on the shed and the hemipene casings on them. And then finally, when we got through all those, then we started doing the ones that were just kind of labeled male and female that we had. But definitely wanted to do all the proven stuff first, so we didn't waste any time.
Right. And we haven't really talked about it, but probably maybe as far back as 6 months ago, we thought we had a test, right? We thought we had it. It looked really good on the first run of animals. Like everything about it made sense. And then as we started validating proven animals, it went downhill quickly. And so we had to throw that one to the side. It was so frustrating. There were a couple of times where like Charlie and I got Jeffrey on the phone. We're like, are you sure this is correct? Just hoping. And it wasn't the case. It was just a bad test, which happens, and that's why we validate stuff. We don't just go with our first.
And it's nice to find out that like fairly early on, within a week
Yeah.
or two, so you're not just like, wasting tons of money and time on something bad. But by having those proven animals, it saved us a lot of time.
Yeah, right. And so, and it wasn't just like one or two guys. It was 60, 70, give or take.
I think it was like around 65 proven breeders.
Yeah, that's a good number, it's a lot.
Then I think we had probably about 10 proven via probing, and I think a couple people labeled proven via the casings on the shed, which every time I open one up, I would send Jeffrey a picture like, this a male? He's like, oh yeah. So we went with all those first. So, we probably in the 70s, 80s of either proven or really, 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 really confident.
No, I think, and that's the thing, right? Is like, we had to be really confident on this. It's such an important test for this species in general. And I'm just glad that people did a good enough job of, for the most part, of labeling the stuff and allowing us to validate and backtrack and really make sure that the science was good, because that's the validation is, one of the most important parts about this.
Mhm.
While we interrupt, we've got a few say, oh, it bumps everybody out of the phone. Oh, well. Hello, everybody that's hanging out with us today. Really appreciate it. Jim Exotics came to hang out. John, absolutely, bud. Glad to help you. Oh, look at this. A friend I met at the Pokemon show this weekend. Hey, Maddie, how's it going? Everybody's coming and getting hyped about green tree pythons. I love it. That's so good. Yeah, so when it came to the non-sexed ones or non-proven ones, even those like really, really, really solid.
Yeah, I mean, especially the sheds we got later on that I think
Yeah,
when Jeffrey started sending out the packages and everything, like most of those were labeled really, really well, like really descriptive stuff.
yeah,
We did get a handful, a decent amount that were just labeled male versus male or female with no other
yeah,
discerning data on it. Um, so those were towards the end. Like I'm like, oh, I'm scared to run these, and he's like, all right, whatever, let's do it. We're running out of sheds, and but I think we probably around 70 or so more that people are just labeled male or female that are not necessarily proven breeders we ran.
yeah.
Yeah. But,
Yeah, it's been really good. I think there's only two that I would say there was a hiccup.
yeah. Those
And
two were two that literally
literally
had
had
nothing on
no,
it but male versus male or female on
yeah,
it. And
they had no labeling whatsoever. There was no way for us to backtrack. So we realistically we shouldn't have run them to begin with. Just because we had no way to backtrack. A big part of the validation process and one of the things that, even when Charlie was just shedtesting.com, that I think stood apart was like, if there wasn't provenance behind the animal that was being validated, then it didn't get, looked at as like a serious candidate, because you have to really be able to backtrack and make sure that what we're using to validate is what it is. Because if you don't do that, you can get wonky and weird results. And, that's what we, with the, I know green tree people don't care, but like the lace test and ball pythons, that was a big part of that. Not only were we looking at, just what people sent, Charlie and I were looking at pictures, and we were sending them to 6, 7, 8, 10 people. Hey, does this look lace? Does this look lace? What is the provenance? When you sold this animal to this person, let me see the parents of that to really make sure. And that's kind of what we did with this test. If it wasn't coming from breeders that could really confirm what it was, they weren't put into the proven breeder pile and things like that. So, I'm really proud personally of the validation that we did and the stringency that we put it through. It's exciting
yeah,
stuff.
definitely. It was definitely every run. You're anxious. I'm always anxious, but I'm like excited to like tell the group like, all right, we did another 20, and we're another 20 for 20. We're good.
Yeah.
So that was always like really exciting to do. But yeah, a lot of the breeders did an amazing job. Just writing down so much information, and people sent us Word documents with stuff like emails with telling me everything about them, each animal. Like that's huge. Not only for right now for what we're doing now, but I think we'll get into a little bit of what we're planning for the future as well.
Yeah, for sure. Funny story, guys. Another Pokemon person, but they have a good question. I love it. Let's see. Are these genetic tests to verify authenticity of breed or checking for certain genetics that provide preferred phenotypic profiles? Yeah, so on the ball python side, it's definitely phenotype. So we test for different, we call them morphs. And some of those are very expensive, some of them are very cheap. This specific test that we're talking about tonight is a male-female test for green tree pythons, which, Jeffrey, you're being silent, so I'm going to let you talk about why that's important.
Super important. So you have to remember, a lot of these snakes are sold or purchased when they're very, very small. So we're talking like 10, 15 grams, and there's no good way that's safe to basically find out the sex of that green tree python. And the reality is, with the market as it is, there's a lot of value associated with green tree pythons. So you could be spending $500 or you could be spending $10,000 per animal. And you're essentially rolling the dice on the gender, especially if you are looking to breed in the future. So you could buy 3 snakes all at $5,000 a piece, and you could end up with 3 males. And
That would be amazing. That's a little loaves of bread situation.
yeah, but it happens. Like, I know
Yeah.
of people where that's happened.
Yeah.
And it's tough. And another thing that makes it even worse is most of the time you can't sex them accurately until they're 2, 3 years old. So you're waiting all this time. You're like, oh, this looks like a female, and then turns out you got all males or whatever it is. So you lose time and money, and that's tough.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Um, and then yeah, absolutely. And then yeah, we actually use shed skin. So snakes shed, reptiles in general shed. And so we're able to just collect the shed skin and run it there. We collect the DNA from it and then we process it and we go from there. And I'd say that's one of the things that makes this test actually unique is we only need the shed skin from one animal, the animal that we're testing. So there's no, lineage that we need. We don't need clutch mates, anything like that. So we're able to just test that individual from their shed and figure out whether they're male or female, which is really cool. So yeah, it's exciting for us, and it's been a fun project. There's definitely a few weekends where I just didn't sleep. So really enjoyed that. But now that we have this test working, and I know we're all super excited. One of the big things that Phenome has talked about and we have talked about as a group is like, where do we really take all this? Because morph testing is cool, sex testing is cool, but like, how do we really take this data that we're generating and just advance it and turn it into something spectacular? And other species, mammals and things like that, they've done some stuff, right? They've done registries or they turn this into these breeding programs. How do we kind of start doing stuff like that? And so one of the big things that we're doing now, we're building a green tree python genome, which is really, really, really exciting. And not just like a basic bitch genome, guys. Like, we are building a genome. We are doing top of the line. We're doing every possible technique to get the most data in order to have the most well understood genome that we can build ourselves. So without diving like too far into the science, your genome is basically the manual that makes up a living organism, and you can use a machine called a sequencer, and you can sequence that DNA to kind of get a blueprint or figure out what that exactly says. There's a few different ways or techniques that are done to do that. One is called short read, and that short read is like taking a book and putting it through a paper shredder and then putting it through another paper shredder, then another. And so basically you're trying to reassemble this book with just using each individual letter from the word. It's doable, but really, 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 really hard, right? So then we have another technique called long read. It's a long read, as it implies, it's longer sections. So we're talking about sentences from that book. So you're still trying to put a book together with sentences, maybe a whole page here or there, but still difficult to make sure that everything's in the right order. So then we have another technique called Hi-C. Hi-C is where we actually get structural confirmation and we understand how the DNA is arranged. And what that does is it's like, instead of shredding it up into tiny little pieces, we're taking out chapters of that book and figuring out exactly what order all that's going in. So instead of just using like one or two techniques, we're using all three. And so we're using all three techniques to assemble our genome. And then on top of that, we're using something called RNA-seq, which looks at the actual gene expression of the animal to help us annotate or label our genome. So the goal here is we're going to have a genome that is chromosomal level, so we know where everything is based on what chromosome it's on. And then on top of that, we actually know what all the genes are within that animal, right? And so we're able to use, comparisons to other species and mammals and other known annotations and compare that back to our genome and build out a fully annotated genome. So guys, we're really going all in, and I'm super excited about it. Like, this is going to be chef's kiss kind of genome. But with that, we're going to be able to make one of Jeffrey's dreams come true. And so, Jeffrey, you want to talk about what that dream is and like how we're going to use this?
For sure. Yeah. So just a little bit of background, like the green tree python community, one of the things that they do well, and Charlie alluded to this as well, um, they do a really good job of keeping basically breeding history of animals that they have. Some of these animals span back to like the 70s and 80s, where it's a full lineage chart of, the great 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 grandsire, and then all the way through to uh, the present day kind of thing. Um, and with that, we see green tree pythons as a whole as like basically the perfect species, community, hobby, all the above to come up with basically fingerprinting for green tree pythons, where it's like you are able to track your animals through time via genetics, essentially. Um, and with that too, we want to compile basically a database that has all the information that was in the past, because obviously some of these animals have passed away, but basically from when we have it up and running until forever, we want to have that information so that people can use it as a resource. And you can learn more about the snakes, but also the breeders that are associated with it, which is, surrounding the history as well.
Yeah.
It's a big thing, and there's a lot that goes into it, but the genome is the starting point,
Yeah.
and then we go from there.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. It is the foundation block for all of this, and I'm ecstatic. It's a whole nother. It's a new project entirely and a different outlook compared to just the normal, morph testing that we've been doing. Morph testing is really cool, but in this weird way, it almost. I don't want this to sound weird, but it's dull. It's kind of the same process over and over. And that's not to say it's always easy, but it's just I have the programs written, right? We get the groups, we compare, we do all of our analysis. I spit out hits, Charlie validates, Jeffrey listens to customers yelling at us. It's a whole process that we always do. This is really allowing me, on a nerdy side, to really put my bioinformatics hat on and dig into something completely new. And then, apply this to this really cool species that if you had asked me a year ago, I had no idea how serious they took lineage. I mean, this is like, AKC dog breeder kind of seriousness. This is everything. I knew they sold for a lot of money. I didn't realize why, And so I'm excited. I think this is cool. I want to set expectations in reality. Like, this isn't coming out tomorrow. This is, a year or two away probably, but we're working on it now, and that's something that's really important. So.
And then the sheds still, especially if we want to look into localities and things like that,
Yeah.
just save sheds, write every piece of information you have about them down, everything for sure, actually, no guessing, just
Yeah.
I know for sure that this is where it came from. And, when the time comes, we're going to need all that information.
Yeah, and even like honestly, even if you're collecting sheds and you're not 100, like let us know. Like the more notes, the more detail you have on animals, the better, right? If it's truly proven, put that. If it's not proven and you just think it's male or female, like please put that. That allows us to really take advantage of the data that we're getting. The more data that we get, the better our outputs get over time. That's the other important part here. It's like the longer we do this, the more data we're able to collect, the better output we're able to give to everybody. So, I really recommend we help us so we can help you. That's the important part here. So I think it's gonna be exciting, guys. I'm stoked. This is a big one, This feels like a big one.
Now, Jeffrey, do you think the locality testing would be a big thing?
I do. Yeah. I think a lot of people will benefit from locality testing. I would love to see if localities specifically influence phenotype traits and like what percentage that happens at. Obviously, that's down the line as well. I think we will probably learn a lot more about green tree pythons and the other species within that. There's probably more species that just haven't been described, and we'll be able to see the differences with that, especially
Yeah.
comparing it to our own genome. Because the reality is reptiles are not well funded as far as research goes. So
No.
That was my next thing. I was going to say all this, what I tell people all the time, almost anything is possible, but it takes money.
Money.
So, it's going to take some time, and I think it'll be good. And then we could hopefully, do this with some other species. Things that come to mind are, retics, localities, super dwarfs, things like that.
Yeah. I think at the moment we don't need wild caught sheds, unfortunately, but I do appreciate the thought and the effort. A lot of what you're probably coming across are different colubrid species, or maybe some rattlesnakes or other random stuff, and we're not there at the moment. We have some colubrid stuff we're working on and some other random things, but yeah, sadly not much across the US that I'd say we're developing genomes for at the moment, sadly. But I do appreciate it. Yeah. So, this was exciting. Obviously when we released the skink test not too long ago, that was exciting too. We're not going to do the genome like we are with this, but this is it's a big step in the right direction, guys. Pretty stoked.
Yeah, I mean, today this has taken up a lot of our time. So we get messages all day about, hey, you're going to get another ball python test for this or this or this or this. That's not stopping. That's all still being worked on.
Yeah.
We're working through black pastel right now. Heather, Rafi, Jurgen, and Hannah Seidel, all of us are getting the black pastel thing nailed down. There's a lot of different lines, all testable lines, and I get messages every day asking about that and red stripe, orange dream. It's just, it's all coming. It's just, unfortunately we can't hire 30 people to work for us right now. But maybe someday we'll have a team of scientists doing all this.
I would love to have a team of scientists. Yeah, I think it's a good point, Charlie. Like, and the other thing too that makes this a little bit difficult is, like, because we are so psychopathic when it comes to the validation process, it does slow things down a little bit, We're going to talk on this, a lot more about validation and what we do on other episodes, but, like, in reality, like, we get asked, like, oh, do you have paint? Do you have orange dream? Do you have leopard? Do you have this? The answer is yeah, we actually do. We have tests for all of those, but, like, paint has had one or two situations where it's off. It calls a head animal a homozygous animal, and it's just, for the ball python side, it's just not good enough. And that's why, like, we don't offer those yet publicly. If somebody wants to hit us up and be like, hey, like, I need this, I understand the risks, that's a different conversation. But we're so stringent and psychopathic on the validation process, it does slow us down. So when you talk about red stripe and tri-stripe and stranger and redhead, guys, we have targets for all of these. TSK, GC, did we release GCR? I can't remember. GCR.
We didn't release that yet because that's another one that I'm being anal over, and I know it's good, but
right. So we have all of these because for us, it's not just like 10 tests and we let it out. Our validation process is, on the ball python side, it's a little different. A lot more ball pythons than green trees, but, like, on the ball python side, we're validating generally a couple hundred known animals, and then a couple hundred known animals that don't carry the trait, so we get positive and negatives so that we can make sure the test is working. There's a lot involved, and that takes time in itself. And so that's the other reason, when people ask, like, oh, things are a little slow, well, on top of the fact that all of us at Phenome have other jobs, we're pretty strict on what we put out. So,
but I'm just, for the ball python people, definitely don't worry. We're still pushing along ball python stuff, and there'll be more out pretty soon. I think Jurgen has a few things that he's going to be releasing soon that we'll be able to release, and redhead is on the cusp, I believe. And
I think, Charlie, that's you brought up Jurgen and Heather and Hannah a couple times. Like, that's something else I think we do well, and I'm really proud of that, is, like, we collaborate. That was honestly what brought Phenome together initially, right? Was this collaboration and trying to build this anaconda genome and go from there. And so I'm ecstatic and happy with the help that we have. You know, while we can't necessarily just hire a team of scientists, we do have a team of scientists that work with us, and I think that helps with this whole process, and not just in the U.S., right? We in Canada and in Europe. So, and you know, maybe in the future in different parts of Asia. Like, I'm excited about the team we have, the people that collaborate with us, how we get everything done. It's just makes us better and makes us a strong company, and I'm proud of that. So
Definitely.
it's good stuff.
Trying to think if there's anything else we were supposed to bring up.
I think the most important part is you can go to phenome.com and order
Yeah.
green tree tests right now.
So we had it went up this morning or yesterday.
Yesterday morning.
It had to go up, you know, and it went up, and we didn't say anything about it, but I think it's last night. I'm like, oh, somebody was on it. Somebody already ordered a test. And today we got another order this morning or this afternoon for green tree sex test. So yeah, right now, phenome.com, you just click on the green tree python link there and it'll take you to order your tests.
Yeah. And you know, like we said, super easy. Fortunately, like Charlie said too, green tree python sheds are all pretty clean. So I'm curious as we start getting these in real scale, if they're always like that.
Well, I can say for the neonates, and Jeffrey could probably confirm this, like a lot of people keep them really, really, really wet. I knew I saw when my snake, when it was going into shed, and I still kept it humid in there, but I checked on it 38 times a day. And the second I saw that shed was on the perch, I pulled it out. So that's what, you know, is going to have to be done, especially on the babies that are really, really, you know, kept in humid environments. And same thing goes. I mean, I've never had a clutch, so I don't know. Are they separated before their first sheds, Jeffrey?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. So, you know, get them separated, and, you know, you want to keep them, you know, maybe second shed might be better for green trees, because I know they're very sensitive, and, you know, you want to keep the humidity high. So without risking any health issues, maybe just do what you got to do for the first shed, and, you know, maybe scale back a little bit for the second shed if that's possible.
Yeah, I think that's wise. I think the reality is too, is as long as they're established, they're eating and getting going pretty quickly, they're going to shed fast. So the second shed cycle will be, you know, quick.
Yeah. So I would say that's probably the best bet. Maybe wait for the second shed, third shed, whatever.
Do they always shed like on their perch? Like, is it always just kind of like a little jacket hanging there?
No, I mean, you get messy runs. It's if the parameters are good, and they usually can do that, or they'll just like string it across their perch, essentially.
Okay. All right. Interesting.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm gonna get a green tree eventually. It'll happen, I guess.
Really?
Maybe. Who knows?
I've got a girl ovulating right now.
Oh, Jeffrey. I'm dealing with giant Madagascar day geckos right now. So that's the current. Yeah, that's the current animal. So we'll get a green tree eventually, I'm sure. They're cool display animals, if nothing else, right?
They really are. Yeah. Super easy to take care of.
Yeah, the one I just got last week, I could just look at that thing all day long. Yeah. You know, it just sits there. A lot of people are like, wow, so that's all it does. But last night I was up here when my timers went and the lights shut off. That one, within seconds of the lights going out, started moving around.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, cool. Yeah. The neonate still, it'll just like sit there for a while. And then in the middle of the night, like I have cameras in there and I can see it moves all night long. But the older one moves around. Like once those lights are out, it started moving around.
That's cool. Awesome. All right, guys. Well, we're going to let people go. But like I said, green tree people, the test is here. The moment is nigh. Make it happen. Let's get these tests ordered so that we can get some more money so we can pay for this genome that we're building.
We got a question right there. No, you don't need the shed of the sire and dame to identify the sex of the offspring. Single shed. So whatever, if you have a clutch of 12 hatchlings, you can send us 12 hatchlings. If you just want to test one single individual snake, you send us one individual shed.
Yeah. Yep.
That's it.
Super cool. Super
If anybody
exciting.
has questions, you know, reach out, email hello@phenome.com, or
Yeah.
reach out to one of us, and you know, we'll answer whatever we can. And are we having another show coming up, Jeffrey? You want to
Yeah.
promote that?
Yep, yeah. So we'll be on Trap Talk with MJ, not this coming Thursday, but the following. And honestly, we'll probably have another 1 or 2 podcasts coming up this month where we can talk more green tree stuff too. So
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
And what do we think for this? A minimum of once a month, we'll do some type of thing here, and then pop-ups whenever anything cool happens.
Yeah, the goal is kind of the first of each month. We're gonna do just like an update and let y'all know what's going on. So make sure to subscribe to the channel and spread it around. You know, the goal is basically just let y'all know where we're at on tests and any cool stuff we figure out or find out, and you know, just general update. If there's moments where, you know, we have something like Paramount that y'all need to know right away, we'll do a big blast and we'll just do a pop-up show. As we keep going to shows, you know, show season is starting back up. You know, we're going to start doing a few more like long form, you know, 10, 15 minute, you know, reviews of the show and highlights and things like that. So I know over the next, you know, 6 months to a year, we're going to try and definitely do more content on the channel, which will be a win for everybody. So like I said, make sure to like, subscribe, you know, the normal stuff. And I look forward to getting you all more information and more tests. So
Definitely.
cool.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. Guys,
appreciate it,
thank
guys.
y'all so much. And we'll see y'all soon. Have a good one.